Welcome to Sports Compass episode 18. I'm Alex Flum, joined by Adam Unger of Erie, Pennsylvania, and Lorenzo Siemann of Berkeley, California. Welcome back after a 4-month hiatus in which I was in the land of Israel. I'm back in America now, and Sports Compass is back. We got a special episode tonight. We're going to talk World Cup. We're going to talk NBA offseason. So let's get right into it. Lorenzo?
All right. Start out with my local segment with the Oakland Athletics posting the best record in the MLB. Where they were a David Ortiz 10th inning home run away from sweeping the Red Sox in 4 games. But they're looking good, and they're looking to head toward the playoffs with a strong summer and strong end of the season. Also, the Golden State Warriors looking to try to get Kevin Love. Talks have come to a halt because the Warriors don't want to give away Klay Thompson. The trade would have been Klay Thompson and David Lee for Kevin Love, Kevin Martin, and the 13th pick in the draft. But without the guarantee that Love will sign that extension past just this season, the Warriors aren't ready to trade Thompson and Lee for maybe what could be just 1 year of Kevin Love. But if they can solve those issues, Kevin Love might be coming to the Golden State.
All right, Adam, let's hear yours.
Well, let's cross coasts and cross sports and talk about a little bit of hockey. The Stanley Cup Finals came to a close just about a week ago. Unfortunately, the New York Rangers were unable to prevail against a strong LA Kings squad. But we already have some off-season action. Aside from the Rangers buying out center Brad Richards, you look and you have a trade already in the first week and a half of the off-season. Philadelphia Flyers left winger Scott Hartnell was traded to the Columbus Blue Jackets for R.J. Umberger and a 4th-round pick. The two of them are both 32 years old, and both of their cap hits are looking at about $4.5 to $5 million. Hartnell put up 20 goals and 32 assists. Umberger had 18 goals and 16 assists, and the two of them are really different in their playing styles. Umberger came from Columbus. He's really more of a blue-collar kind of player, hitter, kind of scores on the side, which was kind of what the Blue Jackets needed. It was what they were going for. When you look at Gabrick got traded away, you had Dubinsky and Anisimov lining up at center. But Hartnell is a scorer. Hartnell was lined with Claude Giroux and Jakub Voracek, and I think the swapping of the two will help bring some blue-collar back to Philadelphia, the Broad Street Bullies. And I think sending Hartnell to Columbus can bring back some of the scoring that was missed when the Blue Jackets traded away Marian Gaborik. So there isn't really a clear winner to this trade, but it's a great kickoff to the NHL offseason, in my opinion. I think we're going to see a lot of moves going forward, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the offseason. Flum?
All right, well, I'm going to make Lorenzo happy with this one. I'm actually going to talk about soccer. I'm sure you've been happy, Lorenzo, how soccer's coming back into this country for the first time in 4 years, I would say, and everybody's interested in it. And actually, Washington, D.C. was the soccer capital in the world during the U.S.-Ghana game. It received a 9.3 rating, the highest rating for any place in America during that game. So, speaking of U.S. soccer, Lorenzo, go ahead.
Well, this weekend, the United States had a tough draw, 2-2 against Portugal in their second game of the group stage. A heartbreaking goal by Varela off a beautiful cross by Cristiano Ronaldo, and just in the 95th minute of the game, the very last play of the game, to tie the game and hold the United States to just 1 point, hold Portugal to 1 point. I'm curious as to what you guys think, how you guys think the United States did, what grades you would give the team as a whole. Alex?
I'm going to have to go with a B+. I was hesitant to give a B+ because, it's a draw. You might want to say like a C or a B- or something. But this, you look at it, the draw felt like a loss. You're sitting there 2-1, you're about to win the game. It ties last minute, and you feel like you just lost the game. But they have to look at it this way. They beat Ghana, and they tied with Portugal in the group of death, and there's some sort of percent. I heard it was 80% chance that they're going to advance to the knockout stage. So really, they've overachieved. Tim Howard played ridiculously well. He had that amazing save that pretty much saved the game. I think it was the somewhere early in the second half or late in the first half. And I will say one thing, Bradley, I thought he played horribly. There was a perfect goal opportunity early in the game. They probably would have had to put away if he could have made that. And then late in the game, he gave up that ball that allowed Portugal to go down and score at the end. But overall, I'm going to give the U.S. a B+ on that game.
Adam?
I would give the U.S. men's national team a B. I think Alex covered a lot of the points, but what really stood out to me was Bradley's missed opportunity when he had a wide open net but just happened to hit Ricardo Costa, who made a miraculous, lucky, you could come up with a million words, that could be the word of the day on PTI, save. That shouldn't have even happened. I think that really drained the U.S. team, and when I saw that, I thought, oh man, this isn't going to be good. Portugal jumped out to an early lead, but we were able to come back, and the U.S. had it, and I think those subs around the 91st minute that took so long that brought in another minute extra time is what really killed the United States, because what if that extra minute hadn't been there? What if there wasn't time for those subs? What if,
Well, Adam, I think you can't criticize it saying, oh, because you made those subs, it added a minute to extra time, and that's why we lost. I just think it was the U.S. were getting a little too cocky towards the end there, and they gave up the ball. I don't think you can completely pin the blame on that just one sub causing all of that.
The one sub did add an extra minute of extra time.
That's
originally
true.
supposed to be 4 minutes of extra time, but it became 5 when we were lackadaisical subbing.
Right, but you made the sub, the time was added for the sub, so even if the sub wasn't made, there still would have been that time on the clock.
The fact remains that if the United States hadn't given up that ball, hadn't allowed Ronaldo the space to give that cross, which of course he didn't have much space to get that cross off, but it was what Ronaldo does, and his talent showed. If it didn't show throughout the whole game, and then finally just one play, and that ruined the United States 2 points that they could have gotten, 2 extra points.
Right up until the cross, Ronaldo was having a mediocre game at best.
Yeah.
I also think he took flopping lessons from LeBron James, but we'll talk about him later.
Well, I think LeBron James is taking flopping lessons from all the soccer players throughout history.
Yeah, that's one thing. Seeing soccer so much this year has led me to realize that soccer has double the amount of flopping that basketball has. I never realized that ever.
It is the father of the flop.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and actually give the United States a B+. And maybe that's just because how horribly they played against Ghana and how lucky they were to have actually won that game. But they came out pretty strong against Portugal, had some good attacks, and for the first time in the tournament, for me, they looked dangerous. They looked like they could actually score consistently. So, yeah, I give them a B+. Yes, they took the tie, but they're still really in great shape to, like Alex said, move on to the knockout stages. I'm also curious as to what you guys think about the Germany game. Germany being one of the best teams in the world. They played a really exciting second half against Ghana. They destroyed Portugal in their first game. How do you guys think the United States can stack up against Germany? Alex?
Well, I actually tweeted after the U.S.-Portugal game that the U.S. and Germany should sit down and agree to have a draw, because that will be the one result that will ensure that both teams will make it. Obviously, that's not going to happen. It's probably not even allowed. I think they'll hang tough. I think that Germany will have a lot of respect for the U.S., which they wouldn't usually have, one, because they're in the position that they are, and two, because I'm sure they know how good Jurgen Klinsmann was for them and how good of a coach he could or can be or is being for the U.S. I think you're going to see a 3-1 loss for the U.S., but I still think they'll advance to the knockout stage.
Adam?
I don't give the U.S. much of a chance here just because Germany is such a good squad. I also see them losing by 1 or 2, maybe 3-2, 2-1, 3-1 in that range. But if around 75th, 80th minute, if the U.S. and Germany are tied, do you think it'll really? You won't need to have premeditated it for them to say, maybe we could have this end as a draw. If the players say, oh, whoops, I kicked it to you. Oh, I kicked it back to the other team. Oh, no, it's a draw. We both get in. Like, that could happen just because soccer and flopping. The flopping in soccer almost makes me associate that with soccer too, like the mentality of, oh, let's try to get the outcome where both of us win, even though neither of us actually win this game.
Yeah, well, there have already been talks of United States and Germany doing that, especially with Klinsmann being the former German coach and working with the Löw, the German coach right now. They were colleagues in 2006 in the World Cup. So there's always that possibility. And, yeah, like Adam said, if the game comes down to, I don't know, 1-1 in the 70th minute, is either team really going to go for the win at that point? Or are they just going to sit back, not really try to score, just kick the ball around? What's going to happen in that situation? So I think that Germany's obviously, they're the better team. They have more firepower. But if the United States can hang in, like 70 minutes into the game, who knows? Could end as a draw.
And if nothing else, it could end as a draw because neither team would be willing to attack and leave an opening at the other end.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't want to push men forward. Because right now, if they tie, Germany moves on, United States moves on, neither have anything to risk by just playing for the tie. So that's why I like United States' chances. There's a good chance that Germany might not play their best players on this stage so they can get a rest for the next round. And the U.S. might do the same and just play for the tie.
But at the same time, when you look at the end of the previous two games that the U.S. has played, they have a lot to play for and they have a lot to prove in the fact that can they close out a game and not give up a goal in the last 10 minutes. Even in the win against Ghana, the U.S. sat on a one-goal lead for 80 minutes. You can't do that in World Cup soccer because everyone's just as good, if not better, than you.
Yeah. So I have one last question for you two. Who do you guys think is going to win the World Cup in the end and be world champion? Flum?
I want to actually say I think the Netherlands can do it with Van Persie and Robin over there, but I don't think that they'll be able to get by Lionel Messi and Argentina. I just think he's the best player in the world. Better than Ronaldo. I think that he can lead them all the way. And seeing him in desperate times, in that last minute against Iran, scoring that goal to win it and help Argentina officially make it through, I think Argentina wins it all.
Adam?
I want to stay on the same continent as Flum, but go with the home team of the World Cup, Brazil. Because you look at Neymar, who's had 35 international goals since the last World Cup in 2010. He's got Hulk on the other side of him, and you have the return of Luis Scolari, who won the World Cup with Brazil in 2002. You know, there's diversity there. There's a lot of chemistry there from past World Cups, and they are playing in their own home country. Yeah. That's probably even more gratifying than playing for your country somewhere else, is playing for your country in your country. It's got to be huge for them.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Adam. Brazil may not be playing their best football right now, but they have so much talent. They won 4-1 today against Cameroon. Not that Cameroon's played very well, but they just have so much firepower up top. Their defense is really solid, and of course they're playing at home. You saw in the first game against Croatia, the refs are always going to be on Brazil's side. If there's a 50-50 call, it's going to go to Brazil. So I think Brazil, they have all the pieces in place to make the World Cup run. Also, of course, you have to look at Germany. Holland, like Alex said, is looking really strong at the moment, especially in their attack. And a sleeper that I like is France, because France has always had the talent. They've always had the talent to make a run.
Benzema.
It seems that it's finally starting to click over there. You got Benzema. You got finally a midfield that can run with Matuidi. They also have Giroud, a second striker they can bring on. Their defense is looking solid. They won their first 2 games. They destroyed Honduras and then destroyed Switzerland. They have a +6 goal differential at this point. So they look like they have a lot of firepower right now, can score a lot of goals, and cannot concede goals.
And then another team, I don't think they're going to win it all, but I think that they can give other teams a run for their money and possibly put together a Cinderella run, as we call it here in America. Ivory Coast, I like what I've seen Gervinho do. I like what I've seen Drogba do off the bench and provide those sparks. And I think that if they can get some strong starts coming into the end and closing minutes, they can have a strong finish and advance far in the knockout rounds.
Yeah, Ivory Coast looks good. But I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you on Argentina. They haven't played that well so far. It's been their whole attack has been messy. And if you play a team with a really stout defense, they're gonna put their best defender on Messi and follow him around all game. And then it's up to the other guys to step up, which they have not. Aguero hasn't played very well. Higuain hasn't played well. Di Maria's played decently, but they need someone who can get goals. And because their defense is not amazing, and their midfield is it's good, but it's not what it can be, like some other teams, Brazil's midfield, Germany's midfield. So I'm not liking Argentina's chances at this point. Of course, there's always a chance that they could pick it up. Aguero and Higuain are both great players. They have just yet to show at this World Cup.
Right, and I really have to see what Messi can do as a star carrying his team, but enough soccer for tonight. Why don't we talk about another star carrying his team, possibly carrying a new team, well, definitely carrying a new team, most likely. Adam?
Carmelo Anthony, the beloved forward of my New York Knicks, has opted out of his $23 million contract. He mentioned it in October. He confirmed it in October. He just did it. You know, all of the speculation, but now that the offseason is here, where will he go? Flum?
Well, I think you have to just look right to the first round of the playoffs, who my Wizards played, the Chicago Bulls. He's been linked to Chicago. They are missing offense. That is what they don't have. And once Derrick Rose comes back healthy, you add Carmelo into that equation, you still have Joakim Noah. They could potentially be, and I think, in my opinion, with that lineup, would be the best team in the East and build that next dynasty with the Chicago Bulls. I think Carmelo Anthony will go there.
I think, what they're saying right now is that he'll go to the Chicago Bulls. There's talk about him going to the Lakers, to the Mavericks. But I think, like Alex said, the best fit would be Chicago because they have already great defensive talents on that team. Obviously, Noah inside is one of the best defensive big men in the NBA. And then you have Jimmy Butler, who's a great perimeter defender. The only question I have is if Derrick Rose and Carmelo Anthony can play together, because they're both stars and they're both great one-on-one scorers. Anthony, I don't know how well he can play with a team because he's never really had that much talent surrounding him. He's never had, definitely not anyone like Derrick Rose on the same team as him. So I don't know how well he can play with another star, but I think the potential there is endless.
Well, I think if you look back to his days with the Nuggets, he had a pretty good nucleus around him. I think he might have had Andre Iguodala there for some time. He had Allen Iverson. He had Chauncey Billups. I think that was a time when he had a lot of, and Andre Miller. He had a lot of talent around him, and I think he was able to play well with that, and those were the best years in his career. So that's another reason I don't have too much doubt for him with the Bulls.
Adam, what do you cross conferences? I think another dynasty that could be built if Carmelo decides to go is the Houston Rockets. Because my main concern with Chicago is, one, can Derrick Rose ever be truly healthy again? Or is his knee just a ticking time bomb waiting to blow up every other player on that team? And also, I'm kind of concerned about the coexistence between Carmelo Anthony and Carlos Boozer. Would Carmelo permanently be on the wing so that Boozer could be inside? Could you put Boozer, Noah, and Carmelo all on the floor at the same time? It could get really hairy there. But if you look at Houston, you could move Dwight Howard back to center, away from power forward. You could try to trade Omer Asik, but I don't know who would want to take the $14 million cap hit that he's supposed to get next year. If you traded Jeremy Lin too, you've just freed up $18 million in cap space. That's not quite the 23 that he had in New York, but it's something. And if you look at James Harden, you look at Patrick Beverly, and wow,
We got Parsons.
Parsons. Thank you. That's it. Chandler Parsons. That could be a devastating starting five, even without Jeremy Lin and Omer Asik coming off the bench.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't know if Carmelo Anthony has, because even in I know James Harden can be very unselfish, and we saw that in Oklahoma City with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. But now that he is a star, and Carmelo Anthony, he's a great one-on-one player. Carmelo Anthony's a great one-on-one player. Dwight Howard's a great one-on-one player. But I don't know if, once again, and they can all put that all together. And I'm not blaming James Harden. I'm not blaming Dwight Howard for that. I just don't think Carmelo Anthony is as valuable to a team as most people think, because he's a great one-on-one player, but he can score. He's not a great defender, and sometimes there's a lack of effort on the court. So I think he's being slightly overvalued as not as a talent, but as a team player.
Right, but if Carmelo wants to win a championship, he'll have to work on that, because in this NBA, with all the super teams popping up and going away and coming back, you can't win with just one superstar anymore.
Yeah.
You have to have two, probably three, maybe even four, in order to win an NBA title. So if Carmelo really wants that, instead of money, he's going to have to learn how to share the ball.
Yeah, he'll have to. And there's, like I said, there's great potential there if he can learn how to do that, because he's a great talent. But there's no guarantee that he will be able to do that. He can, and it's just a matter of will. But we'll see what happens.
All right, well, speaking of superstars and meshing together with a team, let's talk about a team that for the past few years has been the Hollywood of the NBA, the Miami Heat, the Big Three, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. They made it to 4 consecutive championships. They won 2 of them. And this could possibly be the year that they are broken up. What do you guys see happening with that? Do you think that LeBron will still be there? Do you think that Bosh will still be there? Do you think that Wade will still be there? Lorenzo.
They right when they all got together, right when LeBron James declared that he was taking his talents to South Beach, they had that big festival, whatever it was called. LeBron stood up there. He said, "Not 1, not 2, not 3," and I think he ended at 7. Now, of course, we question how realistic that is, but I think that the Heat they still have a great nucleus there. I don't know how great Chris Bosh is anymore. Dwayne Wade's old. But LeBron James is still pretty good at basketball. So I think either they all leave or they all stay. I think that's my prediction for what's going to happen. Maybe if Bosh, LeBron, they both might leave. Dwayne Wade might stay because it's the end of his career, near the end of his career at least, and maybe he wants to stay with the Heat. But I think they could possibly all stay, or they could possibly all leave. I think those are the 2 most realistic options there.
All right, Adam?
See, Lorenzo, when you go back to the festival where LeBron made the guarantee of not 1, not 2, etc., he wasn't expecting other teams to look at the Heat and say, whoa, we can build a team of just free agent superstars, and maybe this will work. You look at all the other teams that have done that. I wrote a column on it a couple months ago. It has worked for some teams. It has tremendously failed for others, namely the LA Lakers. But I think there's a chance that LeBron will come back to Cleveland. I think that if the Cavs either trade back or take Joel Embiid or take Dante Exum, if they don't take Jabari Parker or Andrew Wiggins, which would most likely be the best thing to do for that franchise, that is them saying we are going to make a run at LeBron James. And if they don't do that and they end up taking Joel Embiid instead, the lineup for the Cleveland Cavaliers could look like Kyrie Irving, Dion Waiters, LeBron James, Tristan Thompson, and Joel Embiid, provided that the foot surgery goes okay and he recovers on time. I don't see Wade leaving Miami, really, because that'll be the end of his career. I don't see Chris Bosh really going anywhere to be a full-out superstar because he's not a full-out superstar anymore. He was only a superstar on Toronto because Toronto was that bad before he went to Miami.
I agree with you completely on that, Adam. Aside from the Cleveland part, I don't think there's any chance LeBron is going back to Cleveland. I would be shocked if it happened this offseason. I think Wade and Bosch, there's no way they're going to opt out. They know that if they opt out, they're going to get a lot less money. They're going to be in a worse situation. And LeBron, he's got a commitment to these guys. These are his friends. I don't think he's going to leave this team. What I do think the Heat will do is I think they're going to go out and get a legitimate point guard in Kyle Lowry in free agency. I think they're going to get rid of Mario Chalmers, put some trades together. And Pat Riley's a smart guy in that front office, and he made it clear he was mad. He said, I'm pissed right after the season ended, and he's going to do whatever he can to bring guys in. They'll draft somebody, find some gem, and I think the Heat will come back not as the great team that they've been the past 4 years, but as a team that's going to be able to compete right down to the wire as one of the better teams in the NBA. So on that note, let's talk about Cleveland, Adam, how you were just saying. Who do you guys think what do you guys think they should do with the first pick? I know you've just said it, but Parker or Wiggins, Adam, which one? So I guess you start off.
I can't stand Duke, but I have to go with Jabari Parker if I have to choose between Jabari and Andrew Wiggins. Parker looked much more NBA ready. Jabari Parker did not have as much around him as Andrew Wiggins did because Andrew Wiggins also had another top NBA prospect in Joel Embiid. And there's just something about him, his charisma on the floor and just how he plays more than anything. Like, that's very generic, but his style, like the swagger that he has when he's on the court, just says NBA ready. And his moves, he almost looks like a young LeBron to me.
I certainly agree with that. I'll get there in a minute, though. But, Lorenzo, you go ahead.
I am deathly scared of Joel Embiid's injuries. You look at back problems for any NBA player at this young age. That's frightening. And then you look at foot problems for a center or power forward center, however they're going to play him in the NBA. That is even. You saw what happened to Yao Ming once he got one foot injury. It's just completely downhill from there. Like most people, it's a choice between Wiggins and Jabari Parker. And to be honest, Wiggins showed some flashes, but Jabari Parker was arguably the best offensive player in college basketball last season. He still has some defensive issues, but it's nothing with his athletic ability that can't be worked out, at least for him to be an average defender in the NBA. But his offensive game is off the charts already at this young age, and that's why I think they should take him with the number 1 overall pick.
I'm going to continue the trend, and I'm going to say I do think the Cavs should take Jabari Parker. If you asked me this a week or so ago, I would have said Joel Embiid because I do think he's the best prospect in the draft. But now with these injury problems, he's going to have a tough path in his career in the Cavs. I don't think they're in the place to take such a risk after that Anthony Bennett fiasco of last season. I agree completely with what you said, Adam. I think Jabari Parker can come in and contribute offensively immediately. Parker's going to be great for them, and I see him as a young LeBron, and with that new future, and they can finally say, we are moving on from LeBron. We're not the team that LeBron left. We're the Cleveland Cavaliers looking forward to the future with a star in Jabari Parker and a star in Kyrie Irving. So I think better days are ahead for the Cavaliers. So does anyone have anything to add on the NBA draft? Adam, Lorenzo?
Just that I think Julius Randle can be a great player in the NBA. He's slipped a little bit. He's going between 6 and 10 in most mock drafts. He is an absolute beast. You saw that with Kentucky. And with some polishing to his offensive game, he could be one of the best offensive big guys in the NBA. So that's my take on one of my, not really sleepers, but people who could be drafted in the top 5.
Yeah, and I think another thing to keep in mind is even if you're talking about guys who are going to go between 6 and 10, there are 10 or 15 guys in this draft that another year could have been considered as the top pick probably. One guy I think specifically, I like the looks of Aaron Gordon. I think he can come into the league and be like the next Blake Griffin, Marcus Smart even lower in the draft. So we'll just have to see what happens there. Let's move on to our signature Sports Compass segment, North, South, East, West. Why don't we start off with Adam, and let's start off with North.
My North for this week is Eagles rookie wide receiver Jordan Matthews. I've been hearing and reading and seeing a lot about him in camp. The all-time SEC leader in receptions and receiving yards from Vanderbilt, I might add, is climbing up the depth chart slowly but surely, probably eventually to the number 1 receiving spot that was left open by Deshaun Jackson by the end of his rookie year by catching passes from Mark Sanchez. That poor, poor man.
All right, Lorenzo.
But in all seriousness, Jordan Matthews will do great things as a Philadelphia Eagle. I'm really looking forward to watching him and listening to my father, who is a huge Eagles fan, cheer ecstatically for Jordan Matthews.
All right, well, my North is the Holland national team going back to the World Cup. They beat Chile today, and with that win, they get to avoid playing Brazil in the next round, because obviously Brazil, one of the favorites to win, one of the most talented teams, playing in their home country. No one wants to face them. And Holland got a big win today to seal them on the opposite side of the bracket of Brazil. To be honest, this is going to be the weaker side of the bracket.
All right, my North, I'm going to stay on a similar topic to Lorenzo. I'm just going to say the sport of soccer in America is my North. Anyone who's a soccer fan, I mean, I'm not a giant soccer fan, but I'm getting into it this summer a lot. I turn on Sports Center. 60% of the show is soccer. We just spent half our show talking about soccer. Everybody's going crazy in our country, in the U.S., watching our team, hoping that we'll make it far. So I really think that soccer is finally making it to this country. Maybe it'll stick. Let's go south. Adam.
My South is the Texas Rangers. I'm going to be honest, you guys might give me a little bit of heat for this, but I chose the Rangers as my preseason AL champion in a podcast I did for my high school's online newspaper. With the All-Star break about 3 weeks away, they're 5 games below 500, and they've lost their last 5 in a row. Prince Fielder's batting a career-low .247, and Shin-Soo Choo is matching that with a .248 batting average. This is terrible. They're painful to watch.
Not to mention that both the Athletics and the Angels are both having good years. The A's are having a great year. Angels finally bouncing back after disappointing people last year.
And those are the 5 losses in a row.
Yeah.
Just the Athletics and the Angels.
Yep.
Things aren't looking good in Texas.
All right. My South, normally with the South programming, we jeer at people, and this time I'm going to a more serious note, and that's Isaiah Austin, who was diagnosed with a disease that will never allow him to play basketball on a competitive level again, taking him out of the NBA draft. It's a very tragic event because he was so talented at Baylor. And through 2 years at Baylor, he had the second most blocked shots in the school's history. He had great upside. That's very sad.
Yeah, it certainly is unfortunate. You never like to see that in sports. I actually looked at him and hoped that the Wizards would somehow take him in the second round. I thought he was a great prospect, and I thought he could be a good backup for Marcin Gortat. But South, I'm going to go to another big man in the NBA draft. I'm going to say Joel Embiid. This guy, a guy who was looking at the top pick. He was going to go to the Cavs, make an immediate contribution, hopefully for them. And now we hear things about him possibly not even going in the top 10. He's going to have an injury-ridden career, and that's just another tough thing for him. So I think his stock is plummeting. So let's go West before East. Adam.
My West doesn't really apply to last week, and I already mentioned them a little bit, but my New York Rangers made a magical run to the Stanley Cup Finals that I didn't even see coming, and I'm a fan. I mean, you look, the Broadway Blue Shirts showed a lot of heart in their playoff run because they got behind newly acquired veteran Martin St. Louis after his mother died. The entire team attended the funeral in Montreal mid-series with the Canadiens after facing elimination 3 games in a row against the Penguins. Again, they couldn't pull it out against a strong Los Angeles Kings team, but looking back on it, Eastern Conference champion is still a great title to have for the Rangers.
All right, Lorenzo, your West?
Guess what I'm going to choose? World Cup soccer. And this happens every 4 years, and I'll spare you guys. My East as well is also looking forward to more World Cup action because this happens once every 4 years. It's the best, in my mind, the best sporting event in the world, but the best event in the world even. It's just a wonder to watch, and it's just amazing.
All right, I'm gonna pretty much agree with you for the East. Adam, is that yours also?
It is.
It is. So East, we'll all announce is us looking forward to World Cup action in Germany and U.S. on Thursday. I am getting my wisdom teeth out this week. I'm not looking forward to that. That's certainly not a positive East, but it's an East. West, I'm going to go with 2 things. One, watching my Wizards make an amazing playoff run. It's been in the past few months while we've been on a hiatus. Unfortunately, we never really got to talk about the Wizards in the playoffs too much on the show, but that was great to watch them at obscure places and times in Israel in the middle of the night. And my other West is I went to a Nationals game this past week against the Houston Astros and sat behind George Springer's family. George Springer actually struck out to end the game, and the Nats won. And it was interesting to sit behind the family of the player who struck out to end the game. So that was an interesting moment. And that's about it. Thank you for watching the return of Sports Compass after a 4-month hiatus. Stick with us. We'll be back next week with some more action for Adam Unger of Erie, Pennsylvania, Lorenzo Siemann of Berkeley, California, and Alex Flum of Rockville, Maryland. That's me just outside of Washington, D.C. Thank you for watching. See you.